Okay, so good morning. Oh no, it's actually afternoon, isn't it? So thank you for joining me today, Mary. Today, you really kindly offered to come to talk about the experience that we've just had, because you've just completed the Clarity, Constant Change, which is a 6-week coaching mentoring program for those who want to experience some kind of change in their life. But first of all, tell me a little about yourself and what you do.
Okay, well, thank you. Good afternoon, I think it is. Well, my name's Mary Lunnan. My business is Dare to Blossom Life Coaching. And what I do is help people hear themselves think, and gives them space to breathe and time to work through their own thoughts and find their inner wisdom.
Fabulous. So what was happening for you before you started the program with me?
What was happening for me? I've been for the last time, the business started in 2003, but since 2015 I've been working in it full time because I've sort of let go of other work I was doing. So it's felt like a fresh start, and I felt I needed more focus, more clarity. And although I'm very confident in what I do and how it works, because we both know the process of coaching is so magical, it's not always easy, I've found, to put over how special it is to other people. That was really what I wanted to be working on with you, I think.
So when you found it wasn't easy to put it across and you wanted more clarity and focus, when you couldn't get the clarity and focus and you couldn't get it across, that was like what for you?
It's like being in a fog. It's like sort of knowing where you want to go, but not quite being clear where it is, and being a bit worried about there being pitfalls, literally holes to fall into or things to bump into, and feeling a bit frustrated that I couldn't find the way when I knew clearly where I wanted to be, actually, in a lot of ways.
So you knew clearly where you wanted to be. So what's happening now?
Okay, so what's happening now? It seems to be an amazing journey with you and with other people I work with. Literally today, what's happening now is I've let go of something that I planned to do and cancelled something, and it seemed when I planned it to be the perfect thing to do, but both other people's response and actually my own response, because it's feeling more and more like a chore I had to do rather than something that was going to support me as well as others. So that letting go has been quite difficult, but also feels a release and a clarity. But it's being able to see that a bit more from outside myself, I think, and see what was best to do for me. So that's what's immediately happened just in the last 24 hours.
There's a letting go and a release and a clarity. And when a clarity and a release and a letting go like that, that's like what?
Gosh, I love these questions. I would have to stop and think and gaze out the window, what's it like? It feels like a clearance, literally, in the clarity sense, but clearing and making way for the new to come in. And I don't know what the new is yet, but I'm trusting that it will be grander and better than I can see at the moment. It's the fog's going to clear, the sun's come out, and I'll be able to see my way more clearly towards what it is. I don't need to see the final destination, actually. I just need to see the next step.
So there's a clearing and a confidence that something grander is going to come along, and the next step. So what was it that happened in between fog and a clearing?
I gave myself permission to let go, to be honest with people about why I was letting go and what was happening for me, which is sometimes a bit scary. I think in the professional world, sometimes it's easy to feel I have to be infallible, and none of us are. We're all human beings, and that's probably that vulnerability, that non-infallibility, fallibility, I suppose the word is what draws us to other people to work with. I think it's the fact that we're human and we're happy maybe, but we're able to share that at times, as well as keeping those personal boundaries, but also being able to share something of our own processes, which enables other people to see that we understand what they're bringing if they're coming for coaching.
Fab. So if somebody was out there thinking about doing the Clarity, Constant Change, it's a very short program. It's actually just 2 one-to-one sessions with some weekly emails and the Facebook group for support. what would you say to them?
I would say it's a commitment to themselves and their businesses, and it's something to be taken seriously and made good use of. It's a powerful process, and if they're at all drawn to it, to talk to you first, as I did, and then have a go, because it's a brilliant process. I know, I've worked with lots of coaches, I've done all my training and all my experience, and I know how powerful the process is, and I'm always astounded at how powerful the process is when I do it for myself.
So if just for those who perhaps don't know what we mean by process, is that the same or different as coaching? Is that what you mean by the process?
Yeah. I mean, I think coaching is a process. It's not a therapy. It's not a whatever else other words you might use. That's the one I tend to distinguish it from, is a therapy, and it's a process of getting from where I am now to where I want to be, or at least identifying more clearly where I want to be, and that's how I describe it for myself and the people I work with.
Fabulous. And it's interesting, that thing about the therapy, because I know you and I are on a mission to change the way the world experiences and knows about coaching, because you've got you're a coach the same as I. You use different questions but a very similar process, in terms of you give people plenty of time to think and process, and you hold that space so they've got that shared energy, that shared reflection of their own thoughts. And you're very much like me. You talk about inner wisdom, whereas I'm talking about managing the inner critic, but that's to give the wisdom inside space and time. But I also think that people sometimes avoid things they think is like therapeutic. And I suppose I just want to leave this with you, that not just anybody, anyone listening to the video, is that coaching is a process, and it can be very analytical if that's what you want it to be, very logical, very step by step, plan it out. But it will inevitably bring up emotions, and so it's because we're going to have fear. So it's mindset stuff. And so all the people out in the world that sometimes you don't want to talk about. I think therapy for me is talking about what's not working, and it's talking about the past. Whereas coaching for me is very much about recognizing that didn't work, you didn't like it, or you don't like what's currently happening, and going, what would I like to have happen going forward? But what I find interesting is I find it very therapeutic. So it's like, I think people try and avoid therapy because they think of it as counselling and talking about the past, and what a waste of time that is, because you're just trying. But if you talk about the past as in what worked, and you talk about what is working, then people can get huge amounts of benefit from it. So thank you for sharing time with me today, Mary, because hopefully our shared discussion will inspire other people to move from the fog to the clear pathways. And I can't wait to hear what's coming up next for you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just say before you go, don't forget to remind people how brilliant your book is. I found it really useful to read alongside and after your coaching. So thank you for that too.
Thank you. I have a copy, but I didn't think to get it out. So thank you for reminding me. Not that it took me a little while to write it or anything, and I've completely forgotten it. So thank you for giving back my own advice to me, Mary. Lots of love to you, and all the best with Dare to Blossom.
Thank you.
See you soon.